How's everyone doing today? I'm Gabriel Bassett, and for those who are new, what we're going to do is we're going to take unstructured data, so like news articles about breaches and such, and turn it into structured data using the Varus format. So let me show you how to do that. So we're going to start with the Varus Community Database, VCDB. This is a repository of manually encoded breaches. There's, I think, 5 or 6,000 in it now. And we keep potential breaches to add to it as issues in the GitHub repo. And so they get assigned to authors to code. And what we do is we use the news article about them to turn them into structured data. When you do it using a web app called Varus Web App at Varus Community. You can also download this file. It's a standalone HTML file. Everything is built into it, so you could run it in an isolated environment in a browser and it works. The schema it uses is Varus, vocabulary for event recording and incident sharing, and I don't want to change that. And it's an open schema that you can see here. It's a JSON schema. So we'll start with this one. Employees' private data leaked at New Jersey school. Top HR official got promoted. Oh man, I have no clue about Disney Plus. That's one of the I have to like figure out now. Every time there's a new streaming service, you gotta rejuggle like which ones you're gonna sign up for and which ones you aren't. Because we've got a couple already. We haven't had a cable line in a while. We have a very nice internet connection. So I'm sure that discussion is going to come up as to how we adjudicate our streaming services. So the school's developmental authority inadvertently released personal information of its employees last year and then promoted the acting director of the department responsible for the data leak. Yeah, you know, I'm trying to think if there's any way to code that. Which included employee social numbers and other details, prompted authorities to notify the state police of the incident and warn employees to remain vigilant. Ooh. The funny thing is that audio was supposed to be off and it still played. Oh, okay. Mute site. Okay, open fraudulent accounts, blah, blah, blah. So what actually happened? The letter notifying employees was signed by acting HR director. This is now the focus of an internal audit and has prompted a push for authorities to pushed for the authority to be abolished and folded into the Economic Developmental Authority. Chief Executive. Okay, I'm confused. We're still talking about school authority. School authority. Okay. Finnan. Well, do we know anything about the actual breach? Nearly 11 billion in construction. School. Oh, the School Development Authority is its own thing, separate from. Okay. Okay, so what really happened was an email sent out to everyone, to 230 employees, and had everyone else's information in it because that's how we do. Okay, so I said the new staff are all highly qualified. Okay, the school district. Blah, millions of dollars and ran out of money before finishing half of its planned projects. Well, that doesn't seem to be a very good planning job. Past decade is created after an earlier state operation charged with building public schools in the poorest parts of New Jersey wasted millions of dollars and ran out money before finishing half of its projects. The has said that new staff members are all highly qualified. This includes, okay. Whatever. We were coding VCIR, and so we actually need to switch it back to VCDB. There we go. VCIR, all it does is basically the same schema, but it reorders things like GitHub and such. It just changes which fields you have visible to make the important fields the ones that pop out. Okay, so we'll do what we can here. This is probably not the most profound security incident in the world confirmed. Email attachment sent to employees contained everyone's PII. Okay, confidence. Medium, because we don't have a lot of detail around particularly timeline stuff. A lot of the rest was just going to fall out. Shed acting title, and she's now the human resource director at a salary of $127,000. Okay. Okay, where were we? 12 minutes later, an admission official said the email was recalled 12 minutes later. Well, I guess we have some detection time. So the email, okay, so when was this email sent? Which included November 12th, and what is the date of this? This is probably March, so let's say in November 12th, 2018. But being November, it would go into the 2020 report. Oh, you know, can I like just pause this ad? So I just don't have to watch it. Okay. November 12th. Compromise took minutes as the email was sent out and someone looked at it. Exfiltration took seconds, the data being transferred to someone who didn't need it. Discovery took 12 minutes. And containment, say, followed soon after. As much as they're going to get it contained. Once it was discovered, here, let's split those 12 minutes evenly between 6 and 6. 6 minutes to discover it, 6 minutes to send out the recall. Okay, the victim is the school. Okay. Hire circuit. Okay. Human Resources Director. And folded. So this was at the school, the New Jersey School Development Authority, right? I have no clue what that is. New Jersey School Development Authority. Oh, it's the NJSDA. Okay. Number of employees. Okay. They fired 30 in June. I wonder how many that leaves. Maybe it says. Okay. It's got at least 200. And really, that probably puts us in the range we need. So this is going to be the New Jersey employee count, 100 to 1,000. This would be, and that's a good question, because it's really not, this isn't necessarily schools, this is economic development, really. Public administration, maybe. And then administration of economic programs, general economic programs, transportation, communications, regulation and administration of transportation programs. We'll just do general economic programs. So I don't think this is a school per se. Locations affected, 1, United States and North America. US NJ. No secondary victims. So close victim. Action was an error. Misdelivery. Sounds like carelessness. What's that? Actor was an internal actor. It's someone in human resources because it says it was under the human resources department. No motive. What's that? Asset. Total assets was 1 mail server. No information anyway on whether it's a cloud server or not, or operating system. Certainly it was IT in the United States. Attribute, confidentiality, data disclosure, yes. Data total, It sounds like 230 people, assuming that same number of people got it as sent it. As personal information, socials and stuff of employees, stored unencrypted. Is the data abused? No. Partner data? No. Targeted. Not applicable because it was opportunistic. Discovery method, internal. Very likely it was someone there, not reported by victim. Well, I'll say employed by employee. Reported by employee, though technically it's external, or it's falls very much into the victim, customer, or partner affected by the incident, but really it's kind of the internal person who got the email more than likely. Value chain doesn't apply because it was a there's no development or anything. It was a malicious process. Plus, this was a random assignment. Event chain is an error by an internal actor on a server asset led to the compromise of confidentiality. And we can validate that one. That's a nice cut and dry breach. Then we'll copy it off, and for those who have not been here before, we copy it off because this is a web app. It is, not writing to disk. It certainly has its internal. I mean, actually, it probably is writing to disk, but it's as part of the internal web app storage. And so, just to make sure, in case anything happens to the web app, we copy it off. So with that, we can close this one down and go on to the next one. Close this issue. And signed 17 hours ago. And we'll go back to over here. After employees provided, oh, no, that's the same one. Sunnyside School District accidentally releases, what do you want me to say? Like, these are randomly assigned. This was assigned a week ago, but did I do the Sunnyside one already? I think I already did Sunnyside. Open a new tab. Pretty big mistake, but Tucson School District, second. Yeah. This one I already done and just forgot to close. So go back and close it. Oh, it's already closed. Okay. Oh no, because that was the first one, and then I have to close this one. Yada yada yada. And then credit card skimmer found at Richmond gas station. Let's make sure I haven't done this one yet. So I've done some skimmers recently. Kentucky Department of Agriculture inspector discovered a credit card skimmer designed to copy card information at gas pumps at a BP. No, I don't think we have done this one. This is from 2016. Skimmers tend to show up, but they tend to show up from older breaches. They don't seem to be showing up as much as they were. So September 2016 is going to go into the 2017 corpus. This is issue 8000. And we recently made a change to try to get the assignment script to assign slightly newer ones, to be more biased towards newer breaches. Just so we can make sure that we're getting things that go into this year's corpus. Summary. Credit card skimmer on gas pump. Let's see. Confidence. Let's see. Do we? I think we've got a decent amount of data. It's made during a routine inspection. The pump was shut down and turned over to police. And internal device had been removed before any customer data was compromised. That's good to know. I mean, that's more detail than we get on a lot of these. Let's assume that it was 16. 16 September. And we have to include the year, but we don't have to include the day. And 216 will not validate in that, by the way, for obvious reasons. Compromise, probably, it takes them a minute or two to put these on, almost seconds. Exfiltration is applicable, but it never happened. So this is not going to be a breach, per se. Discovery happened. It's unknown how long it took. Containment after discovery took, minutes at most. Actually, seconds probably would be appropriate. And we really don't know about notification. The victim was the British Petroleum. Can I spell BP? I don't know. Are BP stations individually owned, or are they owned by, are they franchised? I don't know how it works. Normally the way we code it is for things that tend to be franchised. If the IT equipment is provided by the central organization, so if it's like a McDonald's or a Wendy's or some fast food restaurant and that organization provides the equipment for it, then we tend to count the breach against the parent company. But if it's a franchise where the franchisee is purchasing or kind of has some amount of choice in the equipment that they run and how it's updated and managed, then we would count it against the individual franchisee. In this case, I'm going to say that these are all centrally managed, so British Petroleum will be the victim here. And how many employees do they have? I can't imagine that this is anything other than like really, really big. 73,000 in 2018. But it's actually gone down. But it's not over 100,000. It'd be 50 to 100,000. Industry. I don't remember what gas exploration is. There is a good NICS code for this. Here we go. One location, United States, North America, and what state was it? It was in Kentucky. USKY. We'll remove the data down here, and instead we'll close this up. And action. This is a physical action, and it's a skimmer. And then, see, do they say anything about? A lot of times, skimmers need some kind of camera, something that watches the pin pad or a fake pin pad, to check for what the zip code is that's put in. Though I get the feeling maybe this was in line and it was just reading off the pin pad as well. So they don't mention anything about viewing it. So this was in the victim public grounds. This was used to really infiltrate and exfiltrate, or attempt to exfiltrate. The actor was external. These are organized. I can find it here. For financial purposes. And normally we would code these as a breach because there's not a lot of information. Oh, we don't know that. Let's remove that. Asset 1, terminal, gas terminal. Cloud doesn't apply here. I don't know. Do gas terminals count as OT? No, because this is the payment system. I'm going to go with IT. This was again in the United States. This was opportunistic. It's where they can make the money. That's a good question. Now, is a gas pump IT or OT? I wonder what Twitter will say about that. IT, OT, and then whenever I do a Twitter poll, I always add other, comment below, and don't no see results. And the reason is, even if you have what should be a cut and dry yes no true false question, there's always cases where someone doesn't feel like their answer fits in yes or no, and so if you don't give them that other option, they're going to cram their answer into something, and that just pollutes your data. If you leave the 10% of people that don't fit into either the yes or no's can always answer other. And you can go back and look through it and see what it makes sense for your purposes. Do you add another option to capture those others? Do you fold them into one of your other things? And then it's also important to have the don't know see results, because sometimes people don't want to contribute to the sample, but still want to answer, either to see the end results of the poll or to do for some other reason. And so you need to have that option that effectively says, remove this from the sample. And so that don't know see results is the things you remove from the sample, and the other comment below are the things that you add into the sample, but potentially as their own enumeration. And you're welcome. I by the way, I've started to see more and more people doing this, and so I'm like tentatively hoping that maybe it become like, maybe people are kind of catching on, and that's just kind of becoming the way things. I really wish Twitter had more than 4 options in their polls, because really you can only ask a 2-option poll because you have to have those other 2 questions. I could, but do I really trust the results of that poll, or do I need to take another poll about it? So let's see, attribute confidentiality. Doing another poll about the poll. Data was disclosed potentially, but it sounds like they say they caught it. Though, I mean, do they really know? I'd say potentially. It was on the attacker device, but it didn't get disclosed. And this will not count as a breach, because potentially it has to be data disclosed, yes, for us, like confirmed data disclosure for us to count as a breach for the DVR. We don't know the data amount, but it's payment data. This was data of a customer. This was processed as how we normally count skimmers. Data abuse, we don't, I guess unknown, for us to say potentially at risk. I'm going to say no, because I don't think that the data made it off. Partner data, no. Integrity, the integrity of the device was modified, because this is physical tampering. Let's see. Where's the physical modification? Defacement, create account, alter behavior. Well, maybe we don't have. I thought there was a physical integrity change, but maybe we just count it. Oh well. Yeah. And maybe I'm confusing the action and the effect, because I guess the effect is really a breach. The action is to modify the system. Okay. Targeted, opportunistic, enclose, attribute down, discovery. And the nice thing is we have the discovery method, right? So it's by an external inspection. It's not technically law enforcement, but it's an inspector, so I think law enforcement or government agency applies. But it was the agricultural inspector. Discover the skimmer. And I wonder how often that happens, if really that's more of the gas pump inspector's jobs now, is to look for skimmers as much as anything, versus, in addition to kind of the general measuring to make sure that they're pumping correctly. So this was a physical action by an external actor on a terminal, attempting to compromise confidentiality, and we can validate that. There's 2 down. We're a little ahead of time. Let's see. What's that? Close this issue. And let's see. We'll go back here. Any school district accidentally releases employees' personal information. We did, well, yeah, I'm going to reload this to see what we've already done. Oh, yeah, no, they're, in fact, so is VCAP still a thing? Absolutely. We had some discussions at AttackCon about it. Phil Linguala, I work with, is working on it. That said, like, we want it to be data driven, so it will start very basic. Part of really, like, the main part issue now is just trying to figure out the traceability and how to kind of explicitly document it, but we're going to want to wait until we can figure out data to kind of add on at that lower level, that tactical level, below things. And it's really like the misuse and error sections that don't have as good a traceability. The hacking and malware have really good traceability, and some of the social as well. But we're trying to kind of create the structure so that as we figure out what should be at that lower level, that tactical level for things like misuse and errors and some of the social stuff and such, that we can flush it out as it happens, physical stuff as well. So, and the goal is to cover the things that happen the most, right? We want to do this in a data-driven manner. We don't want to just throw in every enumeration that kind of comes up, because we don't want to grow too quickly. So, okay, EWTN reports security breach of 425 employees, and this is in 2016. This is when this was happening, and this is really an interesting thing. Is it's kind of come to the point where you can kind of tell when a breach happened just by looking at kind of what was happening. Like, there's very much a certain breaches, were more common at certain times. Like, the trends, they don't change fast, and the main stuff that keeps working, but kind of certain individual trends, like, the W2 attacks, seem to have, they kind of came and went, though. I'm really surprised why, because it seems to be a very efficient attack. Come on. Did my drop downs? That's interesting. Huh. Now, okay. The drop downs went away there for a second. So this is going to go, it looks in 2016, so it should probably go into 2017. Go, well, what is it? The Global Catholic Network has issued a statement reporting a breach of data revealing employee information. The breach is under investigation. Friday, we became aware of a breach by which we believe a third party obtained access to copies of the W-2 information and tax withholding statements of all. So, on Friday, February 19, they became aware. I don't know when that happened, but we'll say this is going to get assigned to February of 2019. I'm concerned that they don't actually say. It's confirmed, but there's not a lot of detail here. Not a lot of details on when this happened. The copies include social and other information. Of course they did. It was gained through what is commonly known as social engineering. Oh, okay. Well, we have a little more information than I thought. Okay, so this happened in 2019 or 2016 in February, it looks like. Compromise probably took hours, because these are likely, well, we'll say minutes, because it's the email, exfiltration, minutes and hours. Discovery, discovery probably took, gosh, I mean, it's hard to say. It maybe weeks, but probably days. Containment, I mean, it's contained as soon as they did it. It's like, it wasn't like they were losing more tax information. Okay, so victim ID is the, I don't know what the EWTN is. You know, if you're gonna put it in parentheses, you could spell it out at least once. Here, let's go back and find, what is the EWTN? Is it global? Is it just EWTN? Like there's no actual name? Oh, the Eternal World TV Network. Okay. Eternal World Television Network. I guess Global Catholic News Network is probably redundant. Channels. I just want to know the number of employees. But it looks like they mainly go by EWTN, so. Number of employees. Google knows me. Revenue, number of employees, competitors. This is not going to be great information. 500 employees-ish. Regardless, that falls into 100 to 1,000. I wonder what a television network is from Nix code, though. 4833? Maybe. Let's take a look. Nope, that's not what I need. Here we go. 483? I don't think well, that's not the right 4833. Water transportation. I don't think that's it either. Oh, that's their SIC code. Okay, 515120. Let's check 515120. Yep, that would be it. Which actually is not a NIC code we get to use a lot, to be honest. Locations affected. One in, I would assume it's the United States. Is their headquarters listed? Is that listed back here somewhere? Let's check. Around the clock. Located in Irondale, Alabama. Okay. Good to know. USAL. I've never been to Irondale. Though certainly I used to live in Alabama. And this was a social attack. Did they say exactly how? I mean, it had to have been phishing, right? That's how these happen. An outside party posing as another person was able to convince the employee to provide copies of documents by email. Yep. It just writes itself. The target was obviously in human resources. If they had access to this, it was to exfiltrate data. And that was kind of all it took. The actor is external, organized, and financially motivated. We don't know where from. The asset, in this case, is a person, and HR, human resources. It sounds like one of them. And then this doesn't apply. This doesn't apply. And I'm sure they were located in the United States. Targeted. I mean, this is opportunistic. Like, they don't care. Oh, wrong button. They don't care who it was or why. Attributes. Confidentiality. Was data disclosed? Yes. 425 individuals. And this was tax information. So, see, I think personal tax falls under personal at W2. And then it was stored unencrypted. The data victim were employees. Data abuse, we expect so. Partner data, no. And then discovery method. Did they say how they discovered it? The breach is under investigation and has issued a statement. It's a posting the data was not obtained through any breach of the network is actively coordinating with the FBI, U.S. Secret Service, law enforcement. We certainly regret this. Whoops, our bad. It is unclear how they figured this out. It was probably internal, but who knows? Value chain. Certainly, I don't think there's any development involved because it's a social attack. No, then we don't know about escrow or marketplace. No, none of this. Targeting was through email addresses. They had to have the email address of a human resources organization. Distribution was by email. So they had to have some method for distributing malicious email. Cash out will be fraud, tax fraud specifically, and we don't know if money laundering will occur. The impact really is insignificant. And close down impact. And plus, this is a random assignment. The action was a social attack by an external actor on a person asset compromising confidentiality. And then mark it validated. Save it off. Yeah, I would, if anyone knows why those might have happened, I'm super curious. Like why we don't see W2 forms. Was it like a specific threat group that was doing it and they just like gave up or got done? You know. Oh, don't even start with me about white sauce. White sauce is the only appropriate barbecue sauce to put on chicken or turkey. And yeah, regardless of the viewers this loses me, Alabama barbecue sauce is by far the best. I've done barbecue I lived in Kansas. Yeah, look, I'll give Carolinas a second. They're my second favorite, but Alabama barbecue is the best. You know, and that's having come from Kansas, having had a lot of Texas barbecue and everything else. In fact, it's actually I lived in Alabama and then I moved up to Tennessee and I can't get you just can't get barbecue in Tennessee the way you can in Alabama. Look, it's okay. I accept, John. I accept you as you are. It is perfectly fine that you don't appreciate the importance of Alabama barbecue. I hope you will someday see the relevance. Until that day, though, we'll have to agree to disagree, and I accept your wrong opinion. Okay, Norfolk Admiral's data breach exposes customer names and information. Okay, what do we have here? Let's send this back to google.com. I want the actual reference. This is hopefully the actual reference. Okay. Admiral suffered exposed customer details. Does this website even exist anymore? Maybe, maybe not. A hacker posted several thousand Norfolk Admiral's customer email accounts, addresses, names Wednesday, but the team's online security firm says the data breach affected only 250 customers. Admiral's, let's see, this is from the Virginia pilot. It's a different link, so let's try it. Oh, come on. I know this is old, but maybe we could get something. We'll try Norfolk Admiral's breach. Norfolk Admiral's breach. I can't spell admirals. What did I do wrong? Whatever. Just I. Okay. If I knew how to spell, I would have wouldn't have had to become an engineer. As he goes. This is the page that we say doesn't exist. And let's see. Oh, I lost it. Norfolk Admiral was breach. And then what happened to it? Maybe there's just no cache of it, I guess. Or if I had to take action after breach exposes, maybe this one exists. Okay. Breach affected customers who we did a certain transaction on the Admiral's website. The team is not sure exactly which transaction was affected. A list that include customers' physical addresses and email addresses is posted on the website. Posted on a website by a hacker. It says, been messaging with a Twitter user who is claiming responsible for the hack. The Twitter user says he or she posted the information because of the lame security of and all my warnings for them. Okay, team believes around 250 people were impacted out of the 44,400 accounts compromised. How does that work? Many accounts were listed multiple times or not active. I don't think the account being active imply whatever. According to the team's vice president, okay, the organization says no credit card information was released, but the information included the brand the credit card used. So in other words, the guy got it and was just good enough not to release it. One of the impacts is lifelong fan, blah, blah, blah. We talked, so they could at least explain what the actual problem was. So this was in March. April, is there any, like this? That's the funny thing, is like the breach happens and then, everyone goes, we got to do something about it. And like a week later, no one remembers it, right? It's just gone. Read more here. And this is to the link to that website that doesn't exist. And this is just a roll up to Emeralds about inadequate security and emails. So okay, I know what we'll do with this. So analyst notes. This is April 2016, so it should go into 2017. Security essay, yes. GitHub ID. Let's see. Reference. Pull the references here. Actually, we need to. This is really the only reference that's actually still alive and with coherent data, so we need to add it. Oh. And then I think we want to add this too in case we search on the references sometime in the future. Summary. Actually, we probably should add that website that doesn't exist, that link. Where was it? Copy link address. I'm going to add this one, even though it doesn't exist, is the one that people are likely to reference, because it seems to be the one that comes up most often in this breach. So, okay, BCB summary. Activist releases PII when website doesn't respond to security disclosure. By the way, this is not the correct way to do this. If you do discover security issues in someone's or an organization's website, and either you can't get a hold of the organization or you don't want to talk to them directly, talk to CertCC. They have decades of experience helping organizations coordinate their breach disclosure. They know how to get it done and both take care of the security researcher that found it and the organization and ensure that kind of things end amicably. It's a much better choice than ending up in a situation like this on questionable legal footing. So utilize CertCC. They are kind of a great place to go to for organizations that you would otherwise have trouble providing a breach disclosure to. So let's see. This happened in March 2016. That's it. 2016, March. Compromise. We really just don't know anything about the timeline, right? Unknown. I'll mark this as low. There's not a lot of detail here. Exfiltration, unknown. It's unclear if the organization did anything about it. Or discovery, how long after it was discovered. We just don't know the timeline. Stolen, I'm feeling threats seriously and have added safety measures, which they won't talk about, and their goal is to go after law enforcement, go after the person, which is kind of sad. Okay. Norfolk Admirals are what? Number of employees. I don't know. It can't be that that large an organization, right? I don't know, Admirals or hockey team. I guess we'll look them up on LinkedIn. That's probably the best we're gonna get. And it may just be that they're small company size, 50 to 200 people. 36 on LinkedIn. Yeah, I'm gonna say 10 to 100. Seems to be more likely. Sporting team. What are the Knicks codes for a sports team? Sports teams and clubs. I cannot say that I remember ever using this one, but whatever. One, United States region, and it was Norfolk, Virginia. There were no secondary victims. Close, that's the victim. The action, and I'm going to put unknown hacking action because clearly the guy has done some kind of has done something, but we really don't know what. But we know he did it through the web app and used it to both infiltrate and exfiltrate data. And that's the nice thing is like even with that level of detail, just kind of because of who the disclosure and stuff, we kind of know that someone was. We know that it's a hacktivist. So sure, activist. There we go. Someone who is ideology or protest. They wanted the stuff secured and they didn't do anything about it. I guess we don't know where they are. They're very likely in the U.S. because who else would care about a U.S. team? But whatever. Let's see, minor league hockey team specifically. This was a web app. There we go. And one of them, it was hosting is unknown. Though really, I mean, this had to be on-prem or data site. So it wasn't cloud back in 2016. I don't know. I mean, it could be. We'll go with unknown. It's probably Colo, run by someone else. It was IT. Certainly in the United States. Let's go up if I'm going to do that. And then the attribute breached. It's confidentiality. Data disclosed. Yes. I'm going to say payment data. I'm not buying this whole, there were only 250 people there. Payment and personal information, but payment implies personal information. So there's no point in duplicating it. It was customer data. I don't know if we know if it was. Ooh, there's a typo. We better note that to fix. So I don't know if we know that the data was, whether it was captured, stored, or it was captured in transit, like during, there was, I would guess this was the injection of some web code to capture transactions or something, just to prove a point, but we don't know. And so, but I am going to add an issue for typo and data state descriptions. Go back here. Data, let's see, this is attribute dot confidentiality dot data dot state data, well, confidentiality dot state. It's not going to be data, is it? Confidentiality dot state dot unknown is data stat not known, should be data state not known. And we'll just put that as an issue to fix the next time we update Varus. A very simple thing to fix. Doesn't really change the way Varus works for anyone. Data abused, no. Partner data, no. And then targeted, this does sound kind of targeted. Like the guy sounds like he cared about them specifically. Disclosed by actor. Um, Value chain, we don't know. Impact was insignificant. They had to just suck it up and do something about their security. This was a random assignment, and I'm gonna validate it. There is a fourth one down, I think. So how much time do we have? Let's see what the last one is. Maybe we could get 5 in. Clean my slate. Not because I actually have a clean slate, but because I need to go look at the assignment. It only assigned me one breach, and it should have assigned me several. So, okay. Engineer who hacked LA traffic sign controller jamming sheet sentenced. Ooh, this is actually an interesting one. Let me make sure that I don't have anything on my schedule that I'm supposed to be doing immediately after this. So certainly that would keep me from doing another one at this point. Oh, but my schedule's open. So I can go about doing this. That's what I get for connecting my phone or using my phone while it's connected. Oh my gosh. I just want to close iTunes. Is that too much to ask? Okay, there we go. Go away, iTunes. Okay. 2 LA traffic engineers who pled guilty to hacking into the city's signal system and slowing traffic at key intersections. This is part of a labor protest, have been sentenced to 2 years in probation. Authorities said that Gabriel Murillo and Kartik Patel in 2006 hacked into the system despite the city's efforts to block access during the labor action. So by hacked in, they used their credentials. Okay. So the city officials took the threat seriously. Fearful the strikers could wreak havoc on the street system. They temporarily blocked all engineers from access to the computers that control traffic signals. So this is probably going to be misuse more than hacking. With a few clicks of a laptop computer, the pair won a renowned traffic engineer. Because the other computer whiz logged back into the system because they had credentials. Okay. That's just the most obnoxiously melodramatic description. But this is kind of a fun one, so we'll do it anyway. This breach happened. This is submitted in 2018. Was submitted in 2015. This article is from 2009, but the breach happened in 2006. So I'm going to say this goes in the 2007 repo or repository. By the way, if you ever wonder how we have breaches that happen before we actually started writing the report, this is how. Okay. So this goes in as an old one. It probably doesn't need to be in, but it's such a nice classic one. Traffic engineers who were meant to be blocked during a strike regain access and modify traffic signal computer to jam streets. I think it's an accurate description. And probably, I bet there's a lot of news on this if we went back and looked. So this happened in 2006. I'm not going to worry about the rest of the month and day. Oh, initial incident. We don't know time to compromise. It had to have been at most days, right? We'll go with hours. Exfiltration is not applicable. They weren't exfiltrating data. Discovery is probably hours after they made the changes. Containment. I don't know how long it took them to reset. Does it say? Okay. Officials now. Not guilty. That didn't work. They didn't shut lights off. Rather, they programmed them so the red lights would be extremely long on the most congested approaches starting August 21st. And does it say when they did it, or just said, okay, well, that's not helpful. Held the immediate review of ways to tighten security. Cited and the engineers obtained the codes needed to unblock the computers that control traffic lights by signing in. The engineers allegedly obtained the codes. Okay. It's Monday in interviews and court documents after access to the system was cut off. Top managers, they had one of their passwords had helped design the system. Rio signed in as one of them. As one of who? Themselves or the red signal would be too long. Romero was charged with 2 felonies. Los Angeles court convicted all charges. Blah blah blah. Okay. Okay, it's highly regarded. Okay. So the victim is the Los Angeles Transportation Department. So I don't know. Is that who would it be? Yeah, I'm gonna go with activism and misuse. I'm not sure. I'm not sure about activism. But maybe. Let's see. Angeles Traffic Department. Los Angeles Department of Transportation, maybe. That sounds like an appropriate station. Then let's see how many employees. They have to have a decent. Oh, probably not Los Angeles. Dot number of employees. Los Angeles, LA dot number of employees. Okay. Yeah, so I'm wondering, but because it was part of a strike, so rather than grudge or sabotage, I kind of think because it was part of a strike, maybe the motivation is really financial, right? To get a better, ultimately to get just a better paycheck. So, let's see. 160 employees. So if they've got 160 employees, we know they're 100 to 1,000. And then LA.NICS code, really any transportation. Transportation NICS code. 926120. That jive with what we have down here. 926120. Yep. Again, a NICS code I don't think I've used recently. One in the United States, North America, and USCA. No secondaries. Action. So, on the one hand, they say he logged in as this let's see. Said top managers, Murillo signed in as one after access to the system was cut off for all but top managers, Murillo signed in as one of them. So this is actually going to be, instead of misuse, because he's signing in as someone else, it's going to be use of stolen credentials. Probably through remote access. Desktop sharing. New desktop sharing software. This was used to infiltrate. He didn't, and elevate really. And so I don't think he misused anything. Like, if he'd used his own credentials, that would have been misuse. Yeah, I mean, raising awareness to a strike, though, the reason you strike is to increase your bargaining position during labor disputes, right? While I support it, it's primarily a financial motivation, I think. This was actually internal. executive, help desk, human maintainer, maintenance, system admin. And I'm going to say financial. Due to goal of influencing strike labor negotiations, but could be considered grudge. In fact, personal offense, and I'm going to select I'm going to select both of these. It's financial, but also there's certainly an ideological component. Grudge a little bit, but I'm not convinced that like grudge is like it's not, they were not trying to harm anyone, or like I think you can only choose one of ideology or grudge. You can't conflate them to be the same thing. And so between the two of them, I think ideology, well, I think it's personal offense. No, I take it back. I think he was more personally offended by this, the fact that he was getting kicked out. He's done all this work. There's no ideology. He doesn't, believe in traffic signals. He took it personally. I think ideology, the difference between grudge and ideology, and this is probably worth writing down as an issue, is the difference between ideology and grudges. Grudges are personal. Ideology is not. So ideology. So this is in actor.star.motive. The difference here. In actor.star.motive, the difference between ideology and grudge is ideology is, or grudge is personal. It's personal. Ideology is not. Ideology is, I believe, some general thing, and therefore I'm doing this. And I'm going to label this as a coding style so that we can put it in our coding style book if we eventually get that. Okay. I passed over promotion, promoted, reprimand, resign. I don't think there's a strike in here, but this would be the appropriate place for it. Okay. The asset was, let's say, a server and application server of some type. Configuration or patch management. No, that's kind of like, I don't think would be code repository, database, directory, DNS. File, ICS, yep. Server, industrial control system, I think that's a good choice. We know of, I think this is going to be on-prem. This is definitely OT. And if he had been messing with the actual individual systems like the actual lights, I think that we could have made an argument for embedded systems, but because it was the server that controls the logic pattern, I think it's server ICS, which we don't get to do a lot. That's actually pretty cool that we get to do that one. Server was in the United States. And the attribute was the integrity of the system. He modified the configuration to make red lights longer in specific places. And targeted, this was very targeted, discovery, actor disclosure, because, obviously caused gridlock. It was meant to be discovered. There's really no value chain, I don't think. This was painful. I think by definition it was painful, the gridlock it caused. Random. Assignment, this was an hacking action by an internal actor on a server asset, compromised integrity of the system, and we'll mark it as validated. And that gives us 5 for today. So nice. Thank you all for coming. I appreciate it. I had a good time, and this was a fun one to end on. Certainly one of kind of the classical breaches over time, or incidents. I will be back same time, 10 Eastern, next Thursday. Next Thursday, I'll have a hard stop, so we won't be able to go quite as long. But I appreciate your time, and I will see you later. Thank you.